once again, this is Uncle Jimmy with Jimmy's Train Station and Travel Adventures. And today we're on another adventure. We're doing Famous Graves Part 4. And we are in Maryland. And more specific than that, we are in Silver Spring, Maryland. Now this is a little unusual and different than what I usually do. We're actually getting ready to visit a pet cemetery. And it's one of the it's the second biggest pet cemetery in either the state of Maryland or the second biggest pet cemetery in the United States. But I believe it's the second biggest pet cemetery in Maryland. But other than that, there are also 3 famous animals buried in this cemetery. Now this cemetery has everything from dogs to cats to possums to raccoons to rabbits. It's started by the family that owned this land, and then neighbors and stuff started burying their animals in the pet cemetery, and then it just grew from there. And it's a really old cemetery. It started in the 1930s, but like I said, it's a pet cemetery. So follow me on this adventure as we visit Aspen Hill Cemetery in Silver Springs, Maryland, and visit some fur babies and some famous fur babies along the way. So follow me. We are now through the gates of the cemetery, and let's go have a look around. Well, there's 3 graves I'm interested in finding here. They might be a little difficult to find, but we'll look around and see what we can do. As you can see, we have all kinds of different graves here. Here's one for a cat. It says, "Our beloved Gabby, 1980 to 1991, the Phillips family." And more cats here. Here's a Dachshund that died in 82. Another Dachshund here that died in 1994. Now, like I said, there's some older graves here too, a lot older graves. There's Scruffy Muffin. Scruffy and Muffin, 2 different dogs. One died in 81 and one died in 89. I was thinking this was one of the graves, but I don't think it is, because I'm looking for one of them has a military flag flying over it, but I don't think this is the one. No, it isn't. So we'll keep looking. And it just goes on in all directions. It really does. We'll keep looking around here. Hopefully we can find the graves that we want to find. And it's probably in the older section, so let's head back to the older section of the graveyard, and hopefully we'll find the ones we're looking for. It really is a big cemetery. As you can see, it just goes on and on and on. And some of these graves actually have the pictures of the pets on them, which is really neat. Here's a neat one. It says Rosen. It says October 1949 to February 1956, my pal, who possessed beauty without vanity, strength without insolence, courage without ferocity, and all the virtues of man without his voices. This praise is just a tribute to the memory of Sonny Boy. It says part of my heart is buried here, and this is a picture of Sonny Boy. Now there is the way I understand, a couple graves in here of humans too that actually wanted to be buried with their pets. So I find that interesting. But we're still searching and looking for 3 famous graves if I can find them. So bear with me as I walk around and I try to find these graves, and we'll continue from there. Alright folks, we come to one of our first graves I want to talk about. And if you can hear the theme music, you might recognize it. And that theme song comes from the Little Rascals, our gang. Now there's a famous pet here. There's rumored, but not proven, but rumored. And this is the grave of General Grant of RKO, which RKO is a film company out of Los Angeles. This is the grave of Jiggs. Born July 19th, 1928, died March 27th, 1938. And is believed to be one of the dogs that played Petey in the Little Rascals. So it is just rumored. We don't know for sure. Some people say that the previous owners of the cemetery said it was one of the dogs that played beside the Little Rascals, and his name was Jiggs, and that's a picture of Jiggs. So he could be one of the Little Rascals dogs. Now the dog Petey is actually buried in LA. We know this, but they say this dog also played on the Little Rascals. Now whether that's true or not, it's rumored that he was. So what we're going to do is we're going to move along here, and again I'm going to try to find the other 2 graves. One of them might be very difficult to find, while the other one might be a little easier, as one of them is supposed to have an American flag on it. So follow me as we continue, and we'll see if we can find these other 2 animals. So follow me. There are so many graves here. I did a little research and found out that there's over 55,000 pets buried here, and it started actually in 1930, and it's the second oldest. I got that wrong. I said the second largest. It's the second oldest pet cemetery in the whole United States. Now I'm still trying to find 2 more famous graves in this cemetery. It's so big, it's overwhelming. One should be pretty easy to find. It supposedly has a flag over it. Now I found a couple has flags over it, but not the grave I'm looking for. If I'm unable to find those graves, I will tell you about them and give you the history of those 2 famous graves. So bear with me and follow me as I continue to find these 2 graves. Well folks, after about 40 minutes of searching, I didn't want to really give up. I wanted to tell you this story. I did find the grave of Rags, a famous dog, and another dog I'm going to show you. But this is Rags, war hero, 1st Division mascot, World War I, born 1916, died 1936. So he's a famous military dog. And here's a picture of him. I hope you can see that. And I'll give you a little history on Rags. It says animal military figure, a mixed breed terrier. He was the World War I mascot of the United States Army's 1st Infantry Division. On July 14, 1918, a battalion of the 1st Infantry Division participated in Bastille Day ceremonies in Paris, France during World War I. One soldier, Private James Donovan, overstayed his leave in Paris and found himself in the Montmartre section when he tripped over a small dog sleeping in the alley. Just at that point, 2 military policemen came up on Donovan, and since he was AWOL, he convinced the policeman he was part of a search team looking for the division's lost mascot, the dog he had just tripped over. The MPs returned Donovan and the dog, now named Rags, to the 1st Division, moving up to the front. Rags quickly became popular with the soldiers, carrying messages from the front line to the rear headquarters. He could hear incoming German artillery long before the human soldiers could, and would take cover, thus warning the soldiers of artillery about to hit them. Several times Rags was the only way of getting messages back to the headquarters, bearing messages that directed American artillery to hit deploying German units. During this time, Private Donovan took care of Rags, although he was popular with all of the soldiers. On October 9, 1918, both Donovan and Rags were wounded by German artillery and poison gas, and both were evacuated to the military hospital at Fort Sheridan, Chicago, Illinois. Donovan died there in 1919 from his wounds, while Rags recovered with his master dead. Rags was given a free run of the post and was friendly to all the soldiers. In 1920, Rags was adopted by the 2 daughters of Major Raymond W. Hardenberg, who was newly stationed at Fort Sheridan. The Hardenberg family would take Rags with them in several transfers to Fort Benning, Georgia, Fort Knox, Kentucky, to Plattsburgh, New York, to Washington, D.C., and finally to Fort Hamilton, New York City, New York. At Fort Hamilton, Rags was reunited with soldiers of the 18th Infantry Regiment, 1st Infantry Division, some of who remembered him from France. Rags quickly became a celebrity with the veterans in 1934. The Hardenberg family returned to Washington, D.C., and on March 22, 1936, Rags died in their home in Silver Springs, Maryland. A book, Rags, War Hero, by Jack Rowan, was published in 1930. So yes, he was a war hero. Rest in peace, Rags, and thank you for your service. And not far from Rags' grave, I found the other one, Speedy Bozo. Let me tell you a little about Speedy Bozo. This was the pet, right here, of J. Edgar Hoover, FBI director. On May Day 1972, J. Edgar Hoover returned to his residence after a full day's work of FBI headquarters and his supper, then spent 30 minutes in the backyard roughhousing with his 2 canine terriers, and retired for the day. He would die peacefully in his sleep after receiving his first dog as a child from his parents, and was never without one, owning many in his lifetime, especially knowledge and fine breeding of pedigrees. Many canine terriers and beagles he gave away, many to famous people, to especially fond of his dogs. President Hubert Hoover, and later President Lyndon B. Johnson, a beagle which was named J. Edgar in his honor, and would become the only White House dog to appear in American Kennel Club's record book after capturing a 2nd place, finishing in the Chambersburg, Pennsylvania Beetle Club trials in 1966. Bozo was kept a simple two-story stucco house located in 413 Stewart Square, located only 3 blocks behind the Capitol building. So yeah, this is one of President Hoover's favorite pets, Bozo, and it says Hoover right on top. So luckily I found all 3 famous graves in here, and I want to visit one more famous grave, and it's near Tawnytown, Maryland, and it's an actor's grave, and that will conclude this part 4 of famous graves. So if you follow me, we'll continue on and go visit one more grave to this series of famous graves. So follow me. Alright, we're coming up on our last stop of the day. Famous graves. And I'll go ahead and play this theme song here. See if you recognize it. Then we're visiting a famous grave. And he is in an unmarked grave. And I don't know why. The question is why he's in an unmarked grave, but I have no idea. But he's basically buried right in this area right here where we're standing. And that is the grave of Fred Gwen. Now, I don't know if you know who Fred Gwen is, but he's basically buried, I'd say, about right here. Right here in this area. About where I'm standing. Right there. But he's a famous actor. And I'll tell you a little bit about him. So bear with me. So like I said, he's buried right here in this area, right here somewhere. Right catty-cornered from this Shannon grave. And I believe it's probably about right in here. Frederick Hubert Gwen was an American actor, artist, and author. He's best known for his roles in the 1960s television sitcoms Car 54, Where Are You?, as Francis Mauden, and as Herman Munster in The Munsters, as well as his later film roles in The Cotton Club. He played in Pet Sematary as the neighbor, and also in the movie My Cousin Vinny. He was born July 10th, 1926 in New York, New York. Died July 2nd, 1993 in Tawnytown, Maryland, which is a part of Carroll County, Maryland, where I'm at. He was a 6'5", and in the movie Monsters, they actually made him wear platform shoes to make him actually about 7 foot tall. But he's best known for the role in The Munsters, if you remember the Munsters TV series, where it was like kind of like a family like the Addams Family, and he was like a Frankenstein character. If you haven't never watched The Munsters, Google that and you'll see Fred Gwen, who I'm talking about. But yeah, he's buried right here in this spot. He moved from California to this area and lived in Tawnytown, Maryland, and died here at 95 years old. But this is it. This is where he's buried, and maybe he didn't want a tombstone, or his family didn't want him having one. I don't know, but yes, he is buried right here in this area in an unmarked grave. So rest in peace, Fred Gwen. You won't be forgotten. So it's been Uncle Jimmy with Jimmy's Train Station and Travel Adventures. I hope you've enjoyed this vlog today. A little chilly out here, wind's blowing, nice cool breeze. If you're watching this, please subscribe to my channel. Give it a thumbs up. Leave comments and suggestions of what things you'd like to see in the future. Until then, go out and have your own adventures and have fun. Again, this is Uncle Jimmy, Jimmy's Train Station Travel Adventures. Till next time, goodbye.